like here's another opportunity to talk about some of the people who go in and out of government. And this is a um, I don't know. I don't know if you get credit for doing your job. I always like waffle back and forth between whether to praise someone or not for doing things like this. But apparently, the staff of Senator Elizabeth Warren put together this really good report on the military industrial complex and how, and I saw this being shared around. There was a good report over at Responsible Statecraft, just doing some coverage of this, but how like people in the military industrial complex have been coming in and out of government. And there's also like one person in the Biden administration who will name, and I'll point out to you, who is actually doing both at the same time, which is really incredible. Like I like that's an A plus grifting on her part.
Mm.
Like she's doing some amazing grift work there. But I just let's just look at this rogues gallery for people. And we've already talked about this. Earlier we highlighted the incredible profits that like Lockheed and Northrop Grumman and some of these other companies, Raytheon, have brought in because of the war in Ukraine. But this just, I mean, so we've got Lockheed Martin having, you know, they count the hires basically. And
Mhm.
the way to understand this is you've got Lockheed Martin with 49. So we'll just take the top line for example, like Lockheed Martin, major weapons contractor, number of revolving door lobbyists 49, number of revolving door executives 1, number of revolving door directors, board members, or trustees 3. So you've got 53 hires, and these are all in the last year. This is, I believe, this is for 2021, and or yeah, in like the last year or two, these are the revolving door hires, and
Jesus.
then then you see some of the like pharmaceutical companies on there just because of the contracts that the military had during COVID. So these people were in government and then they left and they parlayed it into jobs with big pharma, and then there's others on here like
That's
VA.
crazy. Like that, look at that number. Jesus Christ.
So
That's
you
really
go
alarming.
so you go to the end and it's 672 total. 672, and you see Bechtel and General Electric and some others on here, but it's 672 people that have in the last year gone to work for these companies. And let's see here again, just to make sure I put this number into a proper context. These are in 2022. And in 91% of these cases, the individuals that went through the revolving door became registered lobbyists for the military industry. So they
This is the
are
military
immediate.
industrial complex, you guys.
Yeah, this is immediately. Yeah, and so like to me, I'll say I think I'll let you get in here if you want to say anything. But to me, when I see this, it's sort of like, well, that's how the military industrial complex works. Like for Elizabeth Warren and other like Democrats who I think they're probably like actually doing work on this from a good point of view, honestly. But I would say that the idea that you can fix this, I don't know if that's possible because that's the feature of the military industrial complex that you can go in and out and in and out of this revolving door.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's like the I mean, that's a huge part of it. It's like basically it in chart form. And it's super alarming because that's the way our system's set up to work, right? Like it's set up to have that revolving door because it's basically all these people controlling this are also controlling that, are also profiting from that. And that's why like our entire economy is a war economy.
Yep. So I've got this rogues gallery here. So we'll start with Boeing. But look at these guys. So, and one of them is an admiral.
It's so
And
diverse. Sorry. This is my
yeah,
jet lag, by the way. I'm not like bored with the military industrial complex. I'm like
maybe you
adjusting
are.
to
I
7 hour
mean,
time difference.
like,
No, it's
um,
anything but boring. That's for sure.
It's just
The
this
military industrial
corruption is
complex.
just so passe. It's
I'm
just
so bored with this corruption. Oh my God.
uh
Seriously.
but we've got Admiral John Richardson, we've got Brian Besencenny, we've got Brett Jerry, we've got Uma Amolaru, we've got Stace D. Harris. And yeah, you're right. We have some diversity. We've got a couple women of color down there at the bottom. And then we've got the white men with their very like sleazy grins. Like always these
Yeah,
corporate photos are always like, well, I mean, this guy looks like in the middle, Brian just looks like he's smiling for a wedding photo. But
he is. Or like he's smiling for his like employee ID.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this admiral over here in the top corner, he apparently has a profile from the Project on Government Oversight because his claim to fame is that he helped the Navy when he was an admiral get a contract from Boeing worth $805 million for the MQ-25A drone. This was in 2018.
Damn.
And then 3 months later, he left and he got elected to lead or be part of the board of directors of the Aerospace Safety Committee at Boeing.
Jesus.
And
see, but I think. Well, sorry. Go ahead. Finish what you were.
Well, I was just going to tell you how much he's making. I'm just going to tell you how much he's
Yeah,
making. We don't know exactly. We don't know how much he is making, but we know that a board member will be making pretty good money in 2018, about $350,000 a year to work as a board member.
It's a nice chunk of change right there. And that's just like passive income as a board member. Like,
yeah, I mean, you could be doing anything else. Yeah, you're just like a consultant, honestly, I think.
Yeah. You're just kind of you sit on a board, you attend board meetings, but it's not like a full-time job to be a board member.
You certainly wouldn't be making the aircraft or any of the other weapons or equipment or whatever that Boeing exports.
Yeah.
So then we've got Raytheon here, and there's Robert O'Rourke, there's Margaret L. O'Sullivan, and there's Admiral James A. Winnefeld Jr. And these are at Raytheon. And this
Irish. It seems Irish heavy. This group.
O'Rourke is such a weird name, by the way. It's just
actually is. It's hard to say. O'Rourke.
But I wanted to mention Megan, this redhead over here, who Margaret, but she goes by Megan, which is kind of weird.
That's strange.
But she's part of Secretary of State Antony Blinken's Foreign Policy Advisory Board right now. Right now.
And
while she is on Raytheon's what's her position? She is I think she's on the board. Yeah, she's on the board. While she's on the board of Raytheon, she is part of the Foreign Policy Advisory Board for Antony Blinken. So when he goes to Ukraine, she is advising him. When he goes to anywhere else, maybe with Sudan, there might be some opportunity. She was special assistant to President George W. Bush on his National Security Council, and she was a deputy national security advisor for Iraq and Afghanistan. So she's got a lot of experience with the military industrial complex.
Sounds like it.
Just giving this woman credit. Surrounded by two very old white men, and I think she's killing it because she's actually working for the Biden White House. These men had to leave. They had to leave to go make their money. She gets to stay in the Biden White House. And okay. So then there's Jay Johnson, who's at Lockheed Martin. You might recognize that.
Former head of DHS, right?
Yep. Yeah. And also was tied. Did you hear or follow any of the scandal around the Pegasus spyware that was being put on people's phones, activists' phones? It's linked to the Israeli government. It's this company.
Yeah, Pegasus is an Israeli company, right?
Yeah, Pegasus is in Israel. Anyways, he had been brought on or encouraged to help shill for them to try and get the spyware adopted more widely in the United States.
Right.
So this is Jay Johnson. Yeah.
Well, he was just doing his job. Keep going. Sorry.
Well, and then there's General Dynamics. This is company that I know from their work making drones. But you got James Mattis, who we of course know from the Trump administration, and then Rudy
Right.
DeLeon, who's mostly unremarkable, except I looked at his resume and he's currently at the Center for American Progress. So
Wow.
this
Okay.
allegedly progressive think tank likes to hold itself out as a progressive think tank, has somebody working for a weapons manufacturer. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Nice. Well, you got to have that, right?
then we got Northrop Grumman, Admiral Gary Roofhead, and General Mark A. Welsh. I mean, both of these guys are former high-ranking military officers, and they're at Northrop Grumman. So, yeah, that's basically.
What a crew. I will say, though, all those people are horrible people for obvious reasons. However, it's such a system-wide problem. Not problem, that's how it's supposed to function. That if those people all cease to exist tomorrow, there would be like an infinite number of replacements. Because that's how the system's supposed to work, right? It's supposed to work to have this revolving door so that the people who are on these boards are also in and out of government, in some cases still advising people of government, like you mentioned with that woman Meghan/Margaret advising Anthony Blinken on his advisory board for foreign policy. So yeah, it's like those people are horrible, but they're operating within a system that is supposed to work that way. In other countries, in third world countries, they call it corruption.
Yeah. Well, you would say that, yeah, like the patronage system, right? It actually might be an excuse to like foment a coup and like remove that person from
Yeah,
power.
we have to. Lebanon has clientelism because of sectarianism and Hezbollah. It's like, okay. Anyway.
I do have to mention, just because it's incredible. Anybody who was involved in this corporate grift has to. I think they should always have to have their name tarnished by it. James Mattis was at one point on the board of Theranos. You remember the Elizabeth Holmes company, the blood testing company that
that's
was like not even. Yeah, I think he was trying to get the Marines to use it, which would have been incredible. Crazy. And at one point, he was an unpaid military advisor for the United Arab Emirates. So that's fantastic.
Love it.
Thank you for watching this free clip from the Unauthorized Disclosure Weekly Podcast. To get access to our full shows, join the Shatterproof YouTube channel. You'll get access to all of our full episodes, as well as the exclusive content that we post. Or you can go to thedissenter.org and subscribe to the newsletter there at the Dissenter at the lowest tier, and you'll get access to all of our weekly shows. Thanks again, and make sure you have your notifications turned on so you can be alerted when new content is posted at Shadowproof.